Welcome back to BK Nothing But Nets podcast. Got a good one for you today. Got a lot of breaking news, a lot of rumors out there that concern the Nets. Me and Dylan are going to do our mock rosters, but first, Dylan understands this better than I. He found out the news, just rumors right now, but I'm going to let him break it down because I still need to process this. This is all brand new to me. Dylan, as far as the Nets, Ace Bailey, the Sixers, Dylan Harper. What do you know?
Yeah, so the Athletic just posted it not too long ago that the Philadelphia 76ers are potentially looking to trade the third overall pick. This is something that I actually had spoken to with a 76ers page, a longtime friend of mine for the past 3-4 years. Shout out Sixers Daily. He had mentioned not too long ago that the 76ers could be interested in looking to move the third overall pick simply because they're looking for additional future draft capital to try and build a contender around Embiid, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey. To me, this is a very, very intriguing proposition, one should say. There is a world, and it's been spoken about now, where the Nets could try and gain the third overall pick while keeping the eighth overall pick. And this is something that I literally had just created mock trade wise. I'll present it to you guys if you want to load in Fanspo too, so this way they can see it on the screen. It is Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, and the number 3 overall pick for Cam Johnson, the 19th and the 27th overall pick, plus the 2027 76ers top 8 protected pick back to Philly, and a top 8 protected Knicks 2029 first round pick. So it would practically be 4 first round picks in Cam Johnson for the price of 3. You also have to remember, though, you're really gaining the 3rd overall pick and the 8th overall pick. And I think those are 2 highly valuable picks at the end of the day if you're potentially looking at Ace Bailey and Jeremiah Fears as the combination, Ace Bailey and Maluak as the combination. There's many routes that they could take if they are able to get number 3 while keeping 8. So very, very interesting topic for today. It's something that literally had just came out maybe like an hour and a half ago. Gary, give us your thoughts, man.
I mean, that's franchise changing right now. Give me the trade one more time. I was loading fans, but give me the trade one more time. I'm gonna write it down so I don't get it wrong.
I got you. It's Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond,
Oubre,
and the 3rd overall pick.
Number 3.
For Cam Johnson, the 19th overall pick, the 27th overall pick, the 76ers 2027 pick back to Philly, and a top 8 protected 2029 Knicks pick.
Why? Oh, just to match contracts. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this works for me. I mean, I don't. Drummond is a free agent though, isn't he?
He has a player option.
He's he's got a player option.
Yeah.
Okay, so he'll pick that up. Oubre, Drummond. Yeah, to me, this is a no-brainer. If I walk away with 3 and then I already have 8 and I'm picking twice in the top 8, and I'm really not giving up any lottery picks ever. But realistically, 19, 20, 27, the Sixers pick back. I mean, that could potentially be a lottery pick, but probably not, especially. And then a 2029 protected pick. To me, this is a no-brainer. I had worked out, a trade Paul George and 8. I mean, Paul George and 3. I would take Paul George's contract, and I would give you CJ and 8. We can make the contracts work, but I was looking at that. The concept of keeping 3 and 8 and not having to take on Paul George's contract for 3 more years, which I was willing to do because I figured by the time we're good, Paul George's contract will come off the books. This is way sexier than that. This would cause me to restructure my entire roster now. Talking about how realistic do you think this is? Why? I mean, maybe they don't value Ace. I know obviously they're more in a win mode now, which I think is a stupid idea for them. Why would Philly want to trade 3 and not get at least a top 8 pick back?
I think it's more so for the financial restrictions that they may look into. And also, if you look at their current roster, they have, I mean, I'll pull it back up, but they still have Jared McCain, who is on a rookie scale contract. Yeah. I'm trying to pull in the roster right now, but realistically, who they have on paper heading into next season, they have Embiid, they have George, they have Maxey, they would have McCain, they would have Eric Gordon, Lonnie Walker, Jared Butler, Ricky Council, their center that they drafted last year, Adam Bana, and then Justin Edwards as well. Players that they could potentially look to bring back include Quentin Grimes, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Yabusele, and Kyle Lowry. So they kind of have the roster necessary to contend. It really just matters on if the stars are healthy. And I think what this shows you is that, one, they're in win now mode, of course, and two, they may still feel that Paul George has the opportunity to help them win a championship. Because realistically, it would make sense to swap Ace for Paul George if they feel like they need to go with a retool or a rebuilding route. But if they're not looking to do that and they're willing to move number 3 without grabbing 8, then this is a no-brainer for Brooklyn. If you can keep your 2026 first and you can keep the 8th overall pick, find any way to do this. And I think the trade that I proposed is something that's very much so of interest for Philly. And like I said, I spoke with Sixers Daily, who's one of the more reliable, better fan pages for the 76ers. I've known him for about 3-4 years. And he even mentioned this a week and a half ago when the lottery happened, or not a week and a half ago, but whenever the lottery happened, he mentioned that he wouldn't rule out the 76ers looking to trade that pick for future draft capital, knowing that they're trying to still contend. So it's interesting to see this news come out today.
Ace Bailey makes no sense because I love Ace, but he's not ready. He's not going to be an NBA contributor this year. You would have to pay him a bunch of money. Do you think it's possible? This trade really doesn't look fair. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 picks. One of their picks back, 4 picks in CJ. It actually seems like quite a bit, right? Like this, the more I look at, this would probably get it done. This is a lot.
Like realistically, all you're doing is you're swapping the Philly pick back to Philly, and you're adding the same protection on the Knicks pick in 2029 that Philly has the protection on for the pick that we currently own of theirs. So realistically, it's like giving away 3 first-round picks, right? Yeah. Because the top 8 protected Knicks pick, you still have a chance of getting that back potentially if they decide to blow things up at that time. But if they're not even a lottery team, who really cares, right? I don't think that really hurts us at that point in time with the amount of draft capital that we do have. But like I said, Philly's interested in additional draft capital. So if they're looking to add that while also bringing in 2 guys this year, I mean, at pick 19 and 27, you could be looking at guys like, Rasheer Fleming, Nee Clifford, Thomas Sorber maybe as a backup center. There's options that you can get at 19. At 27, you could be looking at Yaxel Lendeborg, Walter Clayton. There's numerous upperclassmen that you could be looking at as well to build a contending roster. So to me, getting those 2 later first plus Cam Johnson is a steal in itself. Now getting your pick back in 2027 and an additional first to potentially move in a trade to improve the roster is something that I think Philly would definitely have some form of interest in. The only problem that I see with this trade is, like you said, Drummond's on a player option and Oubre's on a player option. So I'm not sure if this is something that could be made on draft night simply because of their player options, unless if, they accept them prior to draft night. I mean, draft night's June 26th, free agency starts June 1st. You're usually allowed to re-sign with your team a couple of days prior to the start of free agency. So maybe there's a world where they can pick up those options or extend those options. The way that they did it with Fred VanVleet and his team option is he was supposed to accept or the team was supposed to accept or decline his team option like a week ago, but they pushed back the date of it into free agency as an in case if they want to use him in a trade or if they want to work out a new contract with him. So maybe there's a scenario where you can do that with a player option as well. I'm not too knowledgeable on that, but if that's the framework to a deal, I'm taking that 9 times out of 10. Because if you're telling me that there is a world where we get screwed in the lottery, but you can still end up with Ace Bailey and Jeremiah Fears potentially, that's a home run. That's more than a home run. That's
Chris wants to know if we can get Lonnie Walker back in this trade. I don't know why, but can we?
No. I don't know. There's no need. I'm not even looking at that. I don't even care. No.
I like Lonnie Walker too, but yeah.
No more reunions. It's already bad enough we'd be getting Drummond back in this. I don't need any more reunions in Brooklyn. Just start fresh.
Well, and Drummond would be a buyout option, right? Because he'd have 1 year left on.
I would assume so. Yeah, I would assume so. Oubre's a solid pickup too, actually, which I don't hate. Like Oubre's a solid player when he's healthy, but
He'll have $8 million left. His options for $8 million.
yeah,
Is he going to accept that? He's way more than an $8 million player.
yeah. Who knows if he accepts that or not? I mean, if he was in Philly, I would assume he accepts it. If he's in Brooklyn, maybe not. Maybe he wants more money to stay on a team that's rebuilding. But I mean, honestly, you can buy out Drummond. Maybe you could flip Oubre. Maybe you can flip Oubre for multiple seconds. Maybe a highly protected first. Who knows? I mean, there's things that you could do with that contract that a lot of contending teams would probably be interested in. So this is very appealing to me, though.
You guys going to the draft? My plan is to go to the draft. I haven't gotten my ticket yet. I'll buy it when I'm down there.
Mark, where do you get tickets? Because I've been looking on SeatGeek and I can't find anything.
My plan is to be there, Mark.
I would like to be there. I don't know if I'll still be in Jersey or not by the time, but let's see. NBA draft. They do have. Oh shit, $61 tickets. You got to be fucking kidding me. That's a beauty. Oh god, 276 to sit down low.
Well, I'm sitting up in the bleachers. Yeah, I'm sitting.
Yeah,
I am. I'm just going to be in the building, rocking some Nets gear. Especially if we get this. I said I wasn't going to go if we drafted 9. We're drafting 8, so that's technically better. But I digress. Let me get back to this. I said this offseason, this draft class had to change the direction of our franchise.
Yeah.
Getting Con Knipple at 9, or at 8, doesn't do that, right? That does absolutely nothing for you. This changes things. This is the kind of offseason that I envisioned. It didn't go the way I would have hoped or thought, but there's a rainbow here there's a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow here. And if we could get, I worked out Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey is the kind of guy who has the upside to change a franchise. If you can combine him with Fears, now you got something. We can figure out the positional fit with Cam Thomas, and if that works, it doesn't matter anymore. Like Cam Thomas is still a part of the future, but he doesn't have to be. You know what I'm saying? We would have something to build around here. To me, I'm looking at this. This at least in theory, you're giving Philly a back a lot. Like when you first said we can get 3 and keep 8, I was like, there's no way. And then you ran this by me. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if there is a world where you can land Ace Bailey and one of Jeremiah Fears or Kaman Maluak as your 2 top 10 picks, there's nothing not to be excited about with that. You're getting incredibly high upside youthful players who have star potential in this league. To put alongside guys like Cam Thomas, you'd still have the financials to bring in a guy like Kuminga if you really wanted to. There's a lot of routes Brooklyn could take if they are able to land that 3rd pick while keeping the 8th overall pick. You're you're probably putting yourself out of position for guys like Carter Bryant, Igor Demon, and the guys that they're kind of looking into right now. But if there is a world where you are able to land 3 and 8 while keeping your 2026 first, if Marks doesn't do it, that is the most fireable offense he has made in his tenure here. It's that simple. If he doesn't make that, then there's no faith in this guy whatsoever. And there's already minimal faith in him whatsoever throughout this entire fan base. So this is on him now. I'm picking up the phone today and starting to work on a framework for this deal because negotiations have to start now for this. The draft is in a month and a week. So you have to get on top of this now.
Yeah, you got time, but if this is real, this needs to get done. I really like what I put together as my mock off season, but this is way better. I took on Paul George's contract which I didn't want to do, but I figured if we're getting Ace Bailey, by the time Ace Bailey is a star, it'll be 3 years from now, and Paul George will be off the books. But if we could do this, see, to me, here's the problem. If Philly really wants to compete, they got to get off of Paul George's contract because that contract is egregious. It's egregious. And there's 3 years left on it. If you're going to try to win one more time with Embiid, which I think is a mistake, but I truly believe Philly would do that, right? I would have traded Embiid last year.
Yeah, no, they're going to try and compete. I mean, realistically, there's nobody that would probably want Embiid's contract for the value that Daryl Morey is going to want for him. So you might as well ride it out one more year. It's not the best position to be in, but at the end of the day, too, you gave Paul George that contract thinking he could be at least your third option. I still think he has it in him. I do think that his injuries that he dealt with this year really were mismanaged, but he said that he's gotten the work to get the procedures done and get healthy. Now he's just working on getting back to what he was. So if there's any chance that he becomes that 20-point per game scorer or more again, and brings you that defensive ability that we've seen for him for, a decade and a half, then I think that it's really something that could be of potential over there. I mean, before the season began, I had them as my dark horse favorites to come out of the East, because if you looked at the depth of that roster, they had something very, very good going for them. And I think that is still something that could be of interest for many 76ers fans and Daryl Morey himself. So I don't see a reason why they need to blow it up immediately, especially with the two bad contracts that they have of Embiid and George. Unless if they're able to stay healthy and prove themselves, then maybe you're talking about next year blowing it up if they underperform. But as of right now, it makes sense for them to try and give them one last push with Embiid and George.
Yeah, but we both know it's not going to. I mean, Embiid can't play more than 40 games a year, right?
He can't.
And he's not a great postseason player. I know he averaged 35 a game against the Knicks, but he's historically not been a great postseason player. He can't stay healthy in the regular season.
Yeah.
And then Paul George, like it looked like Paul George was having a sit-down strike last year. Like, he'd go to work and not do anything. Like, it looked really bad with Paul George last year. I didn't want, when I put him in my mock offseason trade, it's not like I wanted him. I just figured the only way we could get 3 is to get that pick off of Philly so that they could free up some cap space and get good players with the $50 million they're paying Paul George. Right, because it's going to be hard for Philly to compete paying Paul George $50 million because he's not a $50 million player. You got Embiid, you got McCain, you got Maxey, you got good pieces. But I mean, if you could get rid of Paul George, bring in Cam Johnson, have some money to go fill other needs, you're in a better position. No. And then the other news I wanted just to touch on, Dylan Harper.
Yeah, I mean his
expected number 2 pick. Yeah,
I have the tweet up. Harper's father, Ron Harper, everybody knows him. He said, "Always a chance with trades and picks, and the Knicks gave you a lot of both." That was in response to a Nets fan asking about, the Nets potentially trading up with San Antonio. It's causing some stir up. Do I think there's any real weight to it? Probably not as of right now, unless if there is a world where Milwaukee says and Giannis says we're not doing a trade, or it comes out and it's like, okay, Houston's the only team I want to play on. If that's the case, then I can see them pivoting for a guy like Cam Johnson or Kevin Durant. I don't think they would give the number 2 overall pickup for Durant or Johnson, but it would have to be a package that's more than what you're giving up to Philly for 3. So you're then looking at, Johnson pick 8, maybe 3-4 future firsts, which again, if it's for Dylan Harper and you're keeping pick 19 and you still have ways to move up in the draft, it's intriguing, but it's definitely not as realistic as this Philly scenario right now. And especially with the Philly scenario being reported, there's definitely more weight to that right now than there is Harper.
Yeah, to me, the Ace Bailey trade is much more realistic. And we have a legitimate package that allows us to keep 3 and 8. To keep 8 and then get 3. All right. Do you want to get into? We're going to have to redo this. You want to redo this on Monday with this new? Because I know that you prepared a mock roster. I prepared a mock roster. Do you want to go over what we have, and then
we can go over what we have. We can do this now. With the current rosters that we built, because again, I made my roster a couple of days ago. I posted it on Instagram. If you guys aren't following already, feel free to follow Nets Press on Instagram. I think I posted this 2 or 3 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 3. So it is not as up to date as the news that we're getting right now, but I will be doing a scenario where we do get Ace and we keep number 8. That'll be the next one that I do. So I'll hopefully have that ready to go by Monday post wise, but it'll definitely be ready podcast wise. So I would keep an eye out for that.
All right, let's go through this, and you guys can let us know who assembled a more realistic roster and who assembled a better roster this offseason. I like what I built here. It gives us something. All right, so first off, the number 8 pick in the draft. Did you keep it? Did you trade it? What did you do with it?
I kept it.
Who did you take with it?
Jeremiah Fears. Always.
You took Fears, of course.
I did. Yep.
I traded it to Philly along with Cam Johnson for Paul George's contract and the number 3 pick in the draft. So I got Ace Bailey on my team.
Okay.
I got Ace Bailey at 3. Then your 19th pick.
So I ended up doing a trade up with the with the Thunder. It was Cam Johnson and the 27th overall pick for Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng, the 15th overall pick, and a top 4 protected 76ers 2026 first round pick. And with the 15th pick, I had to select Carter Bryant.
Okay. I kept the pick at 19 and took Igor.
Okay. At 19, I took Rasheer Fleming.
19 Fleming.
Yeah. So 8, 15, and 19 was the first 3 picks. We still have the 36 overall pick because later on what I did was I traded the 26 overall pick for a future first round pick. The team doesn't really matter for the scenario that I used. I used Portland. But overall, the 26 overall pick for, a future protected first round pick from another team, I think that's definitely something that could be of possibility as well, especially if you're landing 3 top 19 picks. That makes sense to try and gain some more draft capital rather than picking 4 or 5 prospects. It doesn't really add up. So the last pick that I have is the 36 overall pick where I took Drake Powell. So my draft class was Jeremiah Fears.
Let me get this right. I traded 26 and 27 to Atlanta for 22 and took Asa Noel. So far in my first round, I got 3 picks. I got Ace Bailey, Igor, and Asa Noel.
Okay.
At 36, I kept 36, and you're gonna have to help me with the name. The big 7'4" Australian guy, Rocco Zuransky.
Yeah, Rocco Zikarsky. Yeah.
Zikarsky. And then you stayed at 36 and took Drake Powell.
Drake Powell. Yep.
Okay. You traded Cam Johnson in your trade. So Cam Johnson is gone.
Yes.
What are we doing in your mock drafts? What are we doing with Nick Claxton? Is Nick Claxton still on the roster? Or is Nick Claxton gone?
There is.
I know the answer, but
there is a Nick Claxton trade. It is Dalton Knecht, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, and a 2031 first-round pick for Nick Claxton and Jalen Wilson. This is an off-season trade, so Jalen Wilson's team option would have to be accepted for this deal to go through. And in this scenario, that's what happens. Claxton and Wilson to the Lakers for Dalton Knecht, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, and a 2031 first. And what I think that provides you is between Vincent and Kleber's contracts, that practically gives you the 3 years worth of money back on Claxton's deal and turns it into expiring contracts this year. So moving forward over the next 3 years, you'd be having roughly 20 to 23 million in cap space additional for moving off of Claxton. Not to mention, you also get a young guy in Dalton Knecht. It's somebody that they included in the Mark Williams trade. I think he is somebody that will get included once again for a center. And then, of course, a potential valuable, very, very far out first round pick. I think that's something that could be very realistic. And especially if you're going after a starting big man, you have to give up a first round pick 9 times out of 10. The values of Gabe Vincent and Kleber are not there. It's simply just salary fillers for Brooklyn. So realistically, that the focal point of that trade package is Dalton Knecht and a first round pick. And I think that's very realistic in terms of value that you could get for Nick Claxton.
I also traded Claxton, but I sent him in a sign-in trade to Golden State for Kuminga. Simple, smooth. They get Claxton. We get Kuminga. We probably take on a little bit in contract, but not much.
Yeah.
And to me, that was it. It works for them. It works for us. It was just smooth and seamless. I get Kuminga. You get Claxton. No draft picks involved. Just Kuminga for Claxton.
Okay.
As far as other free agents, I'm signing, and you guys can laugh. I like him. Charles Bassey from San Antonio. I signed him. Any other free agents that you're signing? Any other smaller name, cheaper free agents that you're going to use a little bit of cap space on?
I went big. I brought back Cam Thomas on a 3-year, $70 million deal. I brought back Day'Ron Sharpe on a 2-year, $24 million deal. Brought back Keon Johnson's team option. So just accepted that.
I declined that.
Yeah. I think realistically, if you're looking at the team options that you have Jalen Wilson, Keon Johnson, Drew Timme, and Tyrese Martin. Realistically, Keon Johnson did play the best out of the 4. So if one is to come back, I think just on a realistic standpoint, he's the one that comes back, which is why I did it for this scenario. And then, of course, last but not least, I hate to say it, but it's practically confirmed that he is likely to come back. D'Angelo Russell on a 2-year, potentially $12 to $14 million a year contract. That's what I have him on. In terms of players that I'm bringing in, it was Kuminga, 3 years, $85 million. It's roughly $28 million a year. It's a bit of an overpay, but I think that's what it takes to simply poach him away from Golden State without having to worry about sign and trade possibilities. And then Naz Reid, 3 years, $76.5 million. I believe it was around $25.5 million a year for him. And again, they seem like overpays now, but in 2 years, there's going to be an additional 20 to 30 million in the cap space. Those contracts then look like maybe $17 to $20 million a year for Naz Reid and potentially $20 to $23 million a year for Kuminga. So the values that you're getting now can seem a bit like an overpay. But in 2 years down the line, this is something that definitely isn't as bad on the cap space as some people may think. But with that, you would then have a roster that consists of D'Angelo Russell, Cam Thomas, Kuminga, Naz Reid, and Day'Ron Sharpe as your starting 5. Jeremiah Fears, Dalton Knecht, Dariq Whitehead, Carter Bryant, Rasheer Fleming, Noah Clowney, Drake Powell, Keon Johnson, Maxi Kleber, Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng, and Maxwell Lewis off your bench. It is a 17-man roster, so 2 players would likely have to go. In this scenario, I'm assuming it's Ousmane Dieng and Maxwell Lewis. But at the end of the day, I also bought out Gabe Vincent.
Let me run down this one more time with you. Give me all right. So let me start from you have Fears,
Carter Bryant, Rasheer Fleming, and Drake Powell as my draft
Bryant,
picks.
Fleming, Powell, and then CT Zaire.
No, Zaire was let go.
Oh, you let Zaire go?
Yeah, I think if you're trying to bring in Kuminga and Naz, there's really not a need to pay Zaire.
Yeah.
And also, you have to think of it as you just drafted 2 wings in Fleming and Bryant. You have a wing in Dariq Whitehead, and you just traded for a wing in Dalton Knecht. So I think the wings are a bit overloaded. I'm also not even mentioning Noah Clowney or Drake Powell in that, but the wing department is definitely a bit too much depth. So I think that Zaire would be the man that misses out on a contract with Brooklyn, but he'll definitely find one elsewhere. I would hate to see it happen because I want to see Zaire back, but if this was the scenario, I think that's realistic.
So you brought back CT, Keon Johnson, D'Lo, and Sharpe, right?
Yes. Yep. And then my only free agent signings were Kuminga and Naz Reid.
Naz Reid and Kuminga. So it's Fears, Bryant, Fleming, Powell, Cam Thomas, Keon, D'Lo, Sharpe, Knecht, Maxi Kleber. You bought out Gabe Vincent, so he's not part of this, right?
Yeah.
Naz Reid, Jonathan Kuminga.
And then Kenrich Williams and Ousmane Dieng
from the
Thunder trade.
Dieng.
So it would be a 17-man roster, which you can't walk into the season with. So I would assume 2 of either Ousmane Dieng, Maxwell Lewis, or Kenrich Williams would be gone, whether it be buyouts or trades for second rounders or whatever. I think Maxwell Lewis is definitely one that could be bought out because he's on a non-guaranteed contract. And then, you could either flip Kenrich Williams by attaching some second round picks on him for nothing, or you could buy out Ousmane Dieng's expiring contract. It really just depends on the route that they'd want to take. I would probably prefer to keep Dieng on the expiring deal and try and trade Kenrich Williams for a trade exception. I think there's a team out there that could take on his $7 million deal if we include some seconds, kind of similar to what we did when we sent Patty Mills out and Joe Harris out. But overall, those are the 3 players I would expect. That 2 of them are gone to complete the 15-man roster.
Yeah, I still got to add someone. So here's what I have so far. Ace, Asanoel, Yeager, and Rocco as my draft picks.
Okay.
CT, Zaire, D'Lo, and Sharpe all come back.
Okay.
And then Charles Bassey is my free agent that I signed. And then in the trades, I ended up with Paul George and Kuminga.
Okay.
I know this
Not bad.
positionally, this doesn't work,
Mhm.
right? I don't really have a center. I have Rocco and I have Sharp.
Yeah.
And I got Drew Timmy on a two-way. I'm bringing back Drew Timmy's on a two-way and Tosan from Walmart's on a two-way. So I have them. I know. Yeah.
I actually think so. Timmy got a contract. It's non-guaranteed though because it's a team option.
You're right. It's non-guaranteed.
So
You're right.
you would have to accept the team option to bring him back on the roster, and if you accept the team option, he's making $2.1 million. And I think that's why I keep declining him. Like he's a solid player, but I don't think he's $2.1 million player.
No, you're right. I forgot he got a standard contract.
Yeah, they ended up giving him a standard deal for the remainder of the season into next season, but it's a team option, so you'd have to. Yeah, I can see him coming back on a two-way deal. I just don't know if it's on that team option deal.
So I still need to add a player, but I mean, this is basically what do you think of Charles Bassey? I think he's an athletic rim protector who can rebound. I mean, he's not good, but like, what am I paying him? $5 million a year? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's solid. I don't really know too much about him. I haven't personally watched him much. I know, surprising, I haven't watched a basketball player, but I mean, if I'm looking at, let's see. Oh yeah, he is a free agent this year. Okay, is he restricted? No, he's unprotected. Yeah, he's an unrestricted. Okay. Yeah, I mean, $5 million a year for a 24-year-old big. It makes sense because that also gives you the position, or that gives you the opportunity to look into who the better backup big man is between Sharp and Bassey, and then move the other one at the deadline the following season. So that makes sense. I don't think that's too far fetched.
So these teams that we constructed, give me your starting lineup of the team that you constructed.
Yeah, mine was D'Lo, Cam Thomas, Jonathan Kuminga, Naz Reid, and Day'Ron Sharp. A bit of a small lineup.
It was D'Lo, Kuminga, Cam Thomas.
Yep, Naz Reid, and then Day'Ron Sharp. Yeah.
Okay.
So it gives Fears the opportunity to come off the bench his rookie year to develop a bit. He would probably become the starter at some point in the season, for me at least personally. And then off the bench, it would be Fears, Knecht, Dariq Whitehead, Carter Bryant, Rasheer Fleming, Noah Clowney, Drake Powell, Keon Johnson, Maxi Kleber. And then two of these guys would be gone, but Kenrich Williams, Ousmane Dieng, and Maxwell Lewis.
I'm having a tough time, and we're just gonna go positionless here. Yeah. But we're gonna kind of do where like what the Clippers did when they had Paul George and Kawhi. They don't really have a point guard. They have ball handlers, but they don't really have a point guard. I'm just gonna start, and like this is not gonna work, but I have my lottery pick next year.
Yeah.
I got Paul George, Cam Thomas, Ace, Kuminga, and Clowney. It's very small, but Paul George is 6'8", Clowney is 6'9". I'm just gonna go with this. Like I'm just going positionless. Cam Thomas, Ace Bailey is 6'9". I got a bunch of guys who are 6'9". I got Ace, Clowney, Paul George, and Cam Thomas. So Cam Thomas, Paul George, Kuminga at the 3, Ace at the 4, Clowney at the 5. I guess technically
that is a frail starting 5. A lot of tweeners in there.
It's obviously not ready to win, and obviously it's missing a lot. We'll have rotation with Sharp and Bassey in there, but yeah, it's. I guess Clowney is my 5 in this scenario.
Okay.
When I'm not ready to win, I'm just collecting pieces. I can trade Cam Thomas for a big down the road potentially. I don't, I can move things here. Maybe Paul George plays well, and I can dump him at the deadline and get a big for him, a salary. I don't know. Like Portland's gonna want to trade Robert Williams. I don't know. Like what do you want for him? You want Cam Thomas? I give you Cam Thomas for Robert Williams. Like I don't know. But yeah, so I guess technically my starting line would be, who do we make the point guard here? Paul George or Cam Thomas? Who's the one?
You would have to expect that Cam Thomas gets that spot just to see how the improvements work for the year. But yeah, I mean, I could see Paul George bringing the ball up.
So technically, For this exercise, Cam Thomas is my point guard, Paul George is my 2, Kuminga is my 3, Ace is my 4, Clowney is my 5. How's my team going to do on the boards?
Like, how do they do in the standings?
How do they do on the glass? How do they
oh my God, we're one of the worst rebounding teams in basketball.
How do they do they block a single shot this season? They might not.
Clowney could be averaging 2.5 if he's the only guy down there. He's going to be running around spraining his ankle every 3 weeks, trying to get blocks.
And then I have Igor and D'Lo and Asamoah and Bassi and Sharp. Look, the roster is not well constructed, but I'm still not looking to win at this point. So I just loaded up on talent. I can flip talent for a positional need when I have good players, right? Like right now, the Nets don't have either. They don't have positions and they don't have good players. So I got to solve one problem before I solve the other. And I think it's getting good players. You can trade those good players for a positional need. That was kind of my thought. I said, let me just gather the most talent I can get.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not a bad route to take. I just don't know if it necessarily worsens the team or betters the team for next season. I think it kind of keeps it in the same stuck in the mud 24 to 30 win team. You know,
no, that was, and then I draft the top 5 again next year, hopefully. You know what I'm saying? Like
again, like we got it this year. Oh man,
well,
I hate Adam Silver with a passion.
I drafted 3. I drafted Ace Bailey at 3 in my mock.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. You did get Ace in that scenario. So yeah, considerably you got your top 5 pick.
The question becomes if I want to move back. I'll let you guys decide who had a better offseason, me or Dylan. To me, this idea that we're automatically bringing back D'Lo is comical because it's such a Sean Marks. It makes zero sense. Annoying. He has zero role on the team, and for that reason, you absolutely know he's coming back.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we spoke with Scoop too. He already said it's kind of like a mutual agreement type of thing, as of right now at least, that they're likely to bring him back on a short-term deal that's also very tradable. Sounds like Sean Marks
assumes when he was uninvolved in the offense and sitting out games in his contract that they had already in the back room agreed to something, at least a handshake agreement. I kind of assume that. And that's why I remember I was on Breezy's show, and when he was playing really bad, I said there's a better than 50-50 chance that D'Lo is back next year. Everybody laughed at me. No one's laughing anymore.
No,
well,
no,
you might be laughing
at
the idea,
now.
But this is real. I don't know why, but like if I draft Igor is not going to start right away because he's not ready. But like, really, what's the role, right? Like D'Lo, I'm not starting D'Lo in my scenario. I'm not going with a pure point guard. And Igor is my backup point guard. What function? Because I need to get Igor minutes. What function does D'Lo have on his roster? I don't even know if he's in the rotation. Honestly.
Maybe he's playing the 2 guard off the bench with Igor. You also have to remember too, Igor's 6'9". Like he could play the 2, he could play the 3, and then he could be used as like a point forward. You know, like there is that route where he has that like Ben Simmons, he can guard the 3 and 4, but he's primarily playing the 1 offensively. There is a route that happens, but I mean, D'Lo isn't a midget, you know, or am I allowed to use that word anymore?
Yeah.
But
he can play off the ball. I mean, he's not good at it. Like he tried to do it in LA, it didn't work. But yeah. I mean,
he's not a tiny person, you know. He could keep his own. He's kind of a stick defensively, but you know, whatever.
He's a stick with no effort. Yeah. It's just soft. Like, I mean, he's a soft player. But I also have Asamoah on my bench too. Like, there's a lot of guys I got to get minutes, and like, I just like if it's between getting Igor and Asamoah minutes or trying to win games by putting D'Lo in, like I'm gonna play the rookies. I see no. And this is coming from a guy who loves D'Lo. D'Lo is one of my top 10 favorite Nets of all time. It makes zero sense to bring him back. I mean, zero. There's not. You can't give me a logical reason why it would make sense to bring back 29-year-old D'Angelo Russell, even on a 1-year deal. It makes no sense.
There's really not, unless if you're trying to get that Brooklyn grit, as Sean Marks likes to say, and reunions and buddies and friendship, the power of friendship. But other than that, there's really no reason. D'Lo does nothing for this organization, even though we all like him. In this current state of the organization, he doesn't bring anything of value. So he's an inefficient clutch shooter somehow. That makes no sense to pair those two together. But if you look
been
at
efficient, and he was efficient with LA. He was a fairly he was
meaning
a
in his time,
45-40 guy with LA.
Meaning his time back in Brooklyn, right? He was extremely inefficient, but he was clutch. He was winning some games down the stretch. He was making the necessary reads to find open Cam Johnson for clutch shots to hit daggers on certain teams. Like it happened, but outside of those two unnecessary needs for this team currently, he really didn't provide anything this year. So the logical answer is to not bring him back. The Sean Marks answer is to give him a 3-year, $100 million deal, because that's just what Sean Marks does. But of course, that it's not going to be that bad.
What do you expect a 2-year deal where the second year is a player option?
I more so think it's a team option. I think it's going to be
a team option.
Decision. Yeah, I would think it's the team's decision on whether they want to bring him back or not. Because of course, D'Lo is now just playing for money at this point in his career, right? He's not going to take those leaps anymore into being a potential all-star. He doesn't want to get into a position again where he has to sign a league minimum deal. He's going to try and play for money. So if it's his agent speaking and Sean Marks getting bent over like usual, then it would be a player option. But if Sean Marks has the necessary balls to continue on with the financial flexibility that they're looking to continue onward with to build out the rosters over the next couple of years, then it would likely be a team option, I would assume. Gives you that opportunity to decline him and free up that cap space for next year.
Yeah, and my thoughts on I mean that actually does make more sense. My thought was like D'Lo's not getting D'Lo's not getting a contract this year for anything that he would like, right? Because this is not the cap space out there, and he's coming off a horrible season, so he's not getting a big contract. To me, it's like, okay, I'll take the small contract with a second-year player option. If I outperform that contract, I can just opt out of it next year, right? Yeah. And I can try to have a good year this year, and then opt out of it and try to get paid next year.
Yeah. I mean, you also have to remember, too, with a team option deal, the team could just accept it and trade you, and you'd be playing on an expiring contract for the money that you want. So it doesn't really hurt D'Lo to take on a team option deal. Just perform. Maybe you'll get declined and get a similar deal with another team. But other than that, I wouldn't personally give him the opportunity to kind of pick the direction of his own destiny. I would make it into ours, so this way we have that option to either accept and trade him or decline and free up the cap space for the following season.
Like it or not, he's going to be back.
He's going to be back. He's going to be back. I'm already prepared. You get to at least rock a D'Lo jersey for one more year or for a half a year. until
they trade him. Marks will probably hold out for 2 first rounders. You want D'Lo? He's going to request you two unprotected ones. Okay, you're not going to give me 2. I'll just hold on to him forever.
Yeah. Sean Marks is the type of guy to be like, I want 2 first-round picks and a third-round pick. I'd be like, Sean, there's not even such thing. What are you? He's going to come up with his own shit and values because that's what he does. He comes up with values for players that are so far-fetched and unrealistic.
Yeah, the crazy thing is for Bridges. Can we talk about Bridges for a minute?
Let's talk about Bridges for a minute. He
actually got his value and some for Bridges. Did that give him a false air of confidence? Like I can. Is Cam Johnson better than Mikal Bridges? I'm just gonna put it out there.
On a tanking team, yeah. I mean, he's clearly outperformed Bridges with the Nets, at least, right? Bridges was in a similar position 2 years ago as the Nets were as a team this year. They were mediocre. They were not a play-in team. They were a play-in team, but they just sucked, right? Like they're not good. They were both horrible teams, and Mikal statistically looked worse than Johnson did this year in their final years. And I'm saying final years because I'm hoping Johnson's traded. But
because guys.
No,
I want to spend some time cooking Bridges after this because he sucks, man.
You know what? Go ahead. I want to hear it. Here, let me get comfy.
Okay, so 7. I want to get the stats. He's shooting about 30% this series.
Yeah.
And he's got about like 30-25 shooting splits. He stands in the corner. He doesn't have a role offensively anymore.
No.
Mid-range Bridges is done. I know in game 2 he got a couple of mid-range jumpers that he created.
I think the last game he actually had a solid game, and that's about it.
He hasn't. He was 4 for 13 from the field.
Was he actually? Wait, hold on.
He's been terrible. He's been terrible, and he is terrible.
Jeez. Okay, then maybe it was the previous game.
It was game.
Game.
He had one
4?
decent game in there.
Yeah, he had 23.7 rebounds. He shot 11 of 21 from the field. But hey, there's that beautiful 1 of 6 from 3.
But so he stands in the corner, and clanks threes.
Yeah.
Keon Johnson could do that.
Keon
Who's a better
does
on the
do
ball
that.
defender? Who handles physical guards better, Keon Johnson or Mikal Bridges?
Listen. I am all for the Mikal disrespect, but I will say, with what he has done to Boston, he single-handedly has won them 2 games based on his defensive last-second ability.
This is like when they say LeBron James is still a good defender because he got a chase down block at the end of the game. It's like he got cooked.
Don't disrespect my goat.
He
Don't disrespect my king.
Minutes and they got a chase down block.
No.
The Knicks, this is not my opinion. This is statistically the case. The Knicks are a far better defensive team when Bridges is off the court. He's not good. He's not. I don't. He can't handle the ball. He can't create offense for others. He struggles to score from every single place on the court. And defensively, big guard. He's soft to Sharman. Big guards dominate him. Like he's not good at all. And we got 5 first rounders and a swap for him. Like honestly, Keon Johnson can do what he's doing. Keon Johnson can shoot 25% from the field, and Keon Johnson can block a shot. Keon Johnson can do what Mikal Bridges is doing. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but he's not good.
Oh, no, please continue.
Mikal Bridges is not a good offensive player. He came here, we tried to run the ball through him, and we couldn't score 100 points a game, and he was inefficient, and he stopped being able to get into the mid-range. Right now, the Knicks have better offensive options, obviously, where he's the 4th guy.
Yeah.
But you traded I'm being serious, and you guys know how I feel about Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson's probably better than Mikal Bridges. Cam Johnson can at least hit the open 3. Bridges can't. Like if you put Cam Johnson in the Knicks and you just say just stand in the corner and just shoot open 3s, he's going to hit 3s at a 43-44% clip, where Bridges shoots them at a 37% clip.
Probably.
He doesn't do anything else. Bridges is a 3 and D guy, minus the 3 and minus the D.
Yeah, I mean, I can't listen. I'm not in a position to talk right now because you got the Knicks on the verge of being in the Eastern Conference, something that the Nets did not do. I'm not personally one to hate on the Knicks and think that
I'm not hating on the Knicks. I'm rooting for the Knicks to beat Boston. I don't want Boston to be that. Okay?
I was gonna say I think I do hate Boston more than I hate the Knicks. I hate the entire city of Boston. They've screwed one of my teams over in some form of way, whether that was the Jesse James touchdown, Steelers versus Patriots, when it was called back as a non-touchdown, and 6 months later they made it a rule saying that it was a football move, and going forward it is a touchdown. And that ultimately ended up landing the Patriots the 1st seed, home field advantage, and a Super Bowl. Whether it's the Celtics with the Jason Tatum trade for our picks when we got PG and KG, and they ended up building a dynasty out of it, or a borderline dynasty. I should say a playoff dynasty, because every year they're in the Eastern Conference Finals or the finals. So a playoff dynasty. I'm a Yankees fan. There's always been that rivalry between Boston. So yeah, I mean, if I had to choose, I'm not rooting for one or the other, but I would probably like to see Boston lose more than I would like to see the Knicks. But what I was saying before is I don't see it as a rivalry. Like, there's a lot of newer Nets fans, specifically ones who became fans, around the KD Kyrie era or when they first moved to Brooklyn. I think that this is like a New York to New York rivalry. Like, no, it's not. We are either good and they suck, or we suck and they're good. There's really no in-betweens. There's no rivalry. There hasn't been a playoff series against one another since New Jersey.
In your lifetime, you haven't seen both teams good at the same time.
No.
I've only seen it once.
The last time they played, the last time they played against each other in the playoffs was in Jersey. Was that during the finals run in 02-03?
They beat the Knicks in the first round. They swept them. Knicks weren't good. And then they lost to Detroit in 7 in the second round.
So what year was that?
That was 04.
So I was alive. 05. I wasn't functioning.
or 5. Yeah.
I would say I was alive, but I wasn't functioning. Right. I don't remember anything before the age of
The
like
Knicks
6 or
were
7.
under 500. They were a 6 seed, but they were under 500. I think. Like they really weren't good. They got Marbury. Marbury sparked them. They won a bunch of games in a row, but they really weren't good. Right.
Yeah.
They got swept. And the other time was when I was a kid, when I was 10, and the Knicks were really good, and the Nets had like 2 years with Petrovic, Kenny Anderson, and Derek Coleman, where they were pretty good. They were getting better. They weren't really competing yet, but they were getting better. And then they got bad again, and then the Knicks got good. Well, the Knicks stayed good throughout the 90s, and the Nets stayed bad. And as soon as the Nets got Jason Kidd and got good, the Knicks were terrible, right? I mean, like they really haven't been good together at the same time for more than a year or two. They really haven't.
No, they haven't, and that's why I said I don't. This whole it's like a wannabe Bloods versus Crips between Nets and Knicks fans. Like there's no rivalry. It's pathetic. It's a joke. Both teams suck here and there. Both teams are solid here and there. Neither have won a championship in 20 plus or 20, 25, 30 plus years. Who cares? I don't see the hate in the rivalry. I don't stress over it. I would say I hate Boston more than I hate the Knicks. I'd probably say I hate Philly more than I hate the Knicks. Like, I don't
have the hatred for Philly. I hate Boston. I hate the city of Boston.
I'm the same way.
I just pity this. Like, if you've ever been to Philly, it's just a dilapidated city. I just feel bad for you. It's like the homeless guys. Like, I don't hate you. I just feel bad for you. Like, that's how I feel about Philly. Like, I don't hate you at all.
I've driven through it 2 or 3 times. Yeah, I've driven through it 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, man, this place sucks. Like, this is rough. But yeah,
this is years ago. This is almost 20 years ago. I went to a Red Sox game just because I wanted to go to Fenway. Right, I had a friend who lived in Boston. I wanted to go to Fenway. They were playing like the Tigers. Like I'm pretty sure it was the Tigers. Yeah. And you got to park like a million miles away. And I got New York plates, so I parked my car and you walk like the million miles to Fenway.
Oh, you had the old white with the blue New York license plate. Yep.
I walked back to my car and my rear window is smashed.
Of course.
I'm a Mets fan. I hate the Yankees as much as you do. Like, this is friendly fire, bro. Like, why you smash my? I know why you smashed it, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Like, I hate the Yankees as much as you do. Why'd you smash my window? Ever since that, I just hate everything from Boston. Like, I didn't have a Yankee bumper sticker on my car. I didn't have anything to do with the Yankees. I come back from a Red Sox. I just wanted to see the stadium. It's a historic stadium. I wanted to sit there.
Yeah.
And my window is smashed. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like,
that's ridiculous. The 2 places I would never go to watch. Well, 3 places I would never go to watch a game: California, Boston, and Philly. I think those are solidified. Like Oakland, I would never have gone there for a Raiders game back when they played there. I would never go there for an A's game. Sacramento, I would never go to. Los Angeles is cool. I'd maybe go there, but like Sacramento, San Francisco, and Oakland, when they used to have teams or if they still have teams, would never go there. Boston would never go there because the thing is, Boston, I'm not afraid of. I just know that I would get very angry and hostile towards them. And I could not be in that environment. And then Philly, straight up, I think I'd get killed. So I'm not going over to Philly.
Philly is the homeless guy on the side of the street. Like, I mean,
the ones that are like this. They're like they're stiff and they just don't move, but then they randomly regenerate and they're like, you got drugs? And I'm like, no, this is a drug-free body, buddy. Go back to sleep.
Boston, I hate. I hate Boston, and I don't hate the Knicks. Like the Knicks, I don't have a beef with the Knicks. My dad is a huge Knicks fan. My dad is a Knicks fan. I don't think he's missed a game since the 60s, right? Like he goes back before Frazier, right? Like I don't, my dad's health, he's not dying or anything, but his health's not great. I like to see him get one more for the Knicks. Like I don't hate the Knicks. People think I do. I don't. I hate the Celtics. I hate the Celtics.
I can't even say I hate the Celtics. All right. Easy. All right. Listen.
I hate Boston. I don't like Boston. I don't root for anything from Boston.
Don't disrespect. All right.
No, I hate the Yankees. I hate the Cowboys. I hate the Patriots.
I can't even hate the Cowboys. Knicks. They've sucked since the 80s.
Because I live here, bro, and their fans talk to you like
that. Makes
if you didn't know better, you would think the Cowboys have been the Patriots of the last 20 years. Like they talk down to you. It's like, bro,
I'm a Jets fan. They still live in the 70s and 80s.
My team has gone to 3 conference championship games since you've been to your last one. And I'm a Jets fan.
Yeah, that's
all right. You can't talk to me like this.
That's impressive.
And a lot of them are Longhorn fans on Saturday and Cowboy fans on Sunday. And we were friends on Saturday, and then Sunday you turn into some retard, fanboy, delusional retard. I don't understand what happened here. It's you were completely reasonable yesterday when we were watching the Longhorns game, and now today we them boys, we them Texas boys. It's God,
we're going back
7
to the
10
Super Bowl
again. You won 2 playoff games this century. What are you talking about? Your team is
Cowboy
brutal. You're barely better than the Browns. I don't understand this.
Yeah, that's sounds like a Cowboy fan.
And then you get,
I'm not surprised.
Oh,
I have
don't
a Cowboys
tell me
fan
you're
that
a
I went
Giants
to high school
fan. I get this all the time. Oh, don't tell me you're a Giants fan. No, I'm a Jets fan. The Jets. You're a Cowboys fan, bro.
I mean, listen, the expression that I love to say, and I say it on here all the time, being a Jets and Giants fan is like shitting your pants and changing your shirt. There's no difference between the two.
The Giants won some Super Bowls.
They did it with Gomer Pyle as their quarterback with a little bit of luck and great defenses. I'd get out of here. Eli sucks. That is the one guy that accolade-wise shouldn't even be considered a top 10 quarterback of all time, just because of how bad his turnover to touchdown ratio was. He was horrible. He was disgustingly bad. Horrible.
He wasn't good.
I could name you probably 10 to 15 quarterbacks all time that are better than him.
Oh, I think a lot more. He wasn't good. Look, he was a gamer, kind of like the things we just said about D-Law, right?
Yeah.
He was a gamer.
He was a slightly improved Daniel Jones. That's really what he was.
They look alike. Yeah.
They do. They do. But yeah, I mean, I like you said, I definitely agree. Boston hate is more called for than Knicks hate. There's no rivalry there. Until we meet in a conference finals or in the playoffs at some point, there's no rivalry. That's how I see it.
No.
Eli is a Hall of Famer. Hate on? Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm a Steelers
He didn't get
fan.
in. I mean, he'll get in eventually, but he didn't get in this class. Yeah.
Oh, so he is in first ballot, is what you're saying.
He did not get in the first ballot. He did not get in.
Good. He doesn't
He
deserve
shouldn't
it.
get in at all. If you're my age and you watch Eli's whole career, just the guys he played against. Not that they had longer careers. Eli had longevity. You got to give him credit for that. Donovan McNabb was better than Eli Manning. Tony Romo was better than Eli Manning. Phillip Rivers was better than Eli Manning. Aaron McNair was better than Eli Manning. All of these guys were better than Eli Manning. Roethlisberger will get it on the first ballot.
I'm sorry.
Clearly
non-bias aside, I think Roethlisberger is the top 8 quarterback of all time. I think he's better than Bradshaw overall. If you look at the statistics, to the play style, to the longevity. Yeah, he played in a tougher era where he got concussions left and right and was doing smelling salts on the sidelines to get back into games, meaning Bradshaw. But if you look at the skill set of Ben, the mobility that he had at his fat ass size, I mean, he was able to escape the pocket like no other. And not to mention, he also won 2 Super Bowls in probably the most physical modern era in football history. Yeah. I'm taking Roethlisberger as a top 8 quarterback of all time. It's not even a question.
There's definitely an argument. It's tough to put him in. The list is tough because who do you want to take out? John Elway? I mean, it's tough.
I take out Rivers. I wouldn't even put Rivers close.
Oh yeah, no, I'm just saying.
I think Ben is by far the better quarterback.
I can name 30, 40 quarterbacks better than Eli Manning. I don't rate Eli. I
love how it always circles back.
I just don't like.
He's not good.
He was a top 10 quarterback at his peak. That's what he was. If that's what you want to put in the Hall of Fame, and put it in the Hall of Fame. But it's just those guys I told you were all better than him. If he played in today's game, there'd be a bunch of quarterbacks better than him. Right? Yeah. Mahomes, Allen, but it would go Lamar Jackson, but it would go beyond that, right? Jaden Daniels had a better season last year than Eli Manning ever had. I'm not trying to hate him. Matt Stafford is clearly better than Eli Manning. Clearly, right? Eli wasn't like that. He was good. He was all right. If you had him, okay, but he was never one of the best quarterbacks in football. You never said name the 4 best quarterbacks in football, and someone said Eli Manning. He wasn't like that ever. That's why putting him in the Hall of Fame. It's to me like the baseball Hall of Fame where Craig Biggio is in the Hall of Fame. It's Well, he got 3,000 hits. Okay, he hit 280 for 22 years. Is that what you want to put in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
He's just played forever. Like, yeah, he compiles stats because the guy hit 280 over, consistently for 22 years. And he got to 3,000 hits. Like,
yeah. My football hot take is that Ben Roethlisberger is a better quarterback than Dan Marino.
You didn't see Dan Marino.
It's an extremely hot take, I understand.
Yeah.
But when you look at the stats, when you look at the Super Bowls, and when you look at the accolades, Ben's got him. It's an unfortunate truth because a lot of people love Marino, but it is an unfortunate truth. Like,
no, I hate Marino. I'm just telling you, he's the best thrower of the football that ever lived. If you want to take,
probably, but when you look at the stats and the accolades combined into one, I don't think Marino was escaping the pocket like Ben was.
It's one of those things. Like when we talk about, is Jordan the greatest player of all time? Yeah, he's the greatest player of all time. Is he the best player of all time? No, he's not the best player of all time. So like Marino. When you say great doesn't, like I said, who's the greatest track star of all time is Jesse Owen, right? He would get smoked by every sprinter today, but like he won the most, he did the most things.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do greatest and best is the same thing. Anthony Edwards is better than Michael Jordan.
Do you see Lou's comment? Oh man, that's
great
crazy.
Great and best are two, but yeah.
Yeah,
he has his own. He has his own. Yeah,
I'm not even gonna get into that.
He didn't sexually assault him, but he knocked up most of his female coworkers. Yeah.
Probably. I mean, that's what happens when you go to college at the non-real University of Miami. Instead, you go to Miami, Ohio. That sounds about accurate. But hey, that's my 2-time Super Bowl champion, man.
All right, you can ask an interesting question. Let's get back to the Nets. So the Nets take on bad contracts, 1-year contract, expiring deals to fill that cap space and try to get picks, or should they go after good players who can help them win, like Giddey or Kuminga?
Depends on what happens in the draft, right? I mean, realistically, I think there is an opportunity that you can bring in a guy like Kuminga while still trying to do that scenario with Philly that I said where you keep 3 and 8. Like there isn't a reason why that can't be an opportunity. But let's just say there's a world where Kuminga gets matched, Golden State's not looking to trade him, whatever. Then to me, that's when you look into the bad contracts. Giddey is definitely not an option. He's going to go back to Chicago. Chicago wants him back. I don't see a scenario where we get Giddey, unfortunately. But I do see Kuminga as a realistic possibility. It's just, again, if he gets matched, you can't trade for him. So if he gets matched, it's over. But I think he's the most realistic free agent out of anybody right now, if I had to take a guess.
So let's say, and I want to spend some time on this scenario because I think if this trade does get done and we do keep 3 and 8, I am very confident. I've been saying this for a while that Jonathan Kuminga is going to be a Brooklyn Net next year.
It's becoming more and more. I spoke with somebody.
Cam Thomas, is it not? Like, because moving forward, maybe you bring Cam Thomas back on a 1-year deal.
I think that puts Cam Thomas in the position to be the first piece in a superstar trade the following season. I 100% think that's what that is, right? Because at that point, you're playing the game of who's better, Kuminga or Thomas. It's likely going to be Kuminga.
Kuminga is better.
He's the better all-around player.
Better score, but I think if you give Kuminga the rock, he's going to average 24 points a game.
I could see that, and I think he brings you better defense and rebounding ability, which is why I'm saying if you put those two at competition next year to see who is the better player for Brooklyn's long-term future, I think Kuminga wins that, and that puts Thomas in the position to be the first guy in a package for a superstar. Because let's just say there is a world where you get Ace, Fears, and Kuminga, right? You're looking for a 2 and you're looking for a 5. Devin Booker has stated numerous times he likes the city of New York. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if that's the guy that you can go and get by moving Cam Thomas. Because though you don't have the Suns picks anymore, who's going to have the Suns picks by next year, right? Does Houston make the trade with Milwaukee for Giannis? Okay, well, at that point, they have nothing, right? So what does getting Devin Booker do for them? You're putting yourself in a worse position than when you had Giannis, right? You have to still build out the rest of the roster. You probably want to do that with those draft picks. So I don't see them holding the keys to a Devin Booker trade at that point, right? Same thing with if Houston goes for KD. Okay, you may be giving up 1 or 2 of those picks back, but you're still going to have 1 or 2 of them. So who has the upper hand? The team with the most picks. OKC doesn't make sense. San Antonio doesn't make sense if they get Giannis or if they get KD, right? At that point, now you're looking at Brooklyn. And I think Brooklyn by far is the most desirable position for a guy like Devin Booker as a replacement to Cam Thomas because 1, they play the same position. 2, Devin Booker is just a flat out better player. So,
and New York's just a better market for him to be. And he's obviously a good-looking guy who's going to want to do things in television after his basketball career is over, right? New York's the right place for him to be. You know,
I would agree.
it just is. So he's going to try to get there to New York, especially if we're building something. It's a good fit for him.
Yeah. I want to pull up this Ken comment too, because I actually reported on this as well. I did put out a post yesterday stating that the Brooklyn Nets are expected to offer Golden State Warriors forward Jonathan Kuminga an offer sheet. I did speak with somebody on the Warriors side of things that had said that Brooklyn is very much so interested. It is probably their primary target in terms of restricted free agency. And of course, it got mistranslated by somebody on Twitter because when doesn't that happen? But how a sign and trade works is Brooklyn can offer a contract. If he accepts it and they match it, he is no longer trade eligible for at least a couple of months, I believe, if not a full year. I forgot how it exactly works. But if we offer the contract, he accepts it, and they match it, we have no chance of getting him. How it could work, though, is Brooklyn offers him the contract. Kuminga is about to accept it, wants that contract, but he goes to Golden State and says, offer me this deal and trade me. That's how that can work, right? So let's just say the Nets offer him $27 million. Golden State says there's no way we can pay him this for multiple years, let alone this year. Let's work on a sign and trade. We'll offer you that deal. We'll trade you. That's how the sign and trades work. So in that case, that's what I'm reporting on. That is a very high likely chance of happening. And that is correct. The Athletic ended up reporting on it as well, stating that a sign and trade is being potentially worked on between him and the Warriors. But again, it's just going to depend. We have a month and a half roughly until we're going to start figuring out what's going on with free agency. So it'll be interesting to see how the rest of it plays out. But I mean, the guy turned down a 4-year, $100+ million deal with Golden State. I highly doubt he's looking to go back there. So I think it's very much realistic.
He's struggling. He's a good player, and I get he doesn't fit in that offense exactly, but he's struggling to get rotational minutes, right? Like, why would he go back there? You know what I'm saying? Like, why would they give him $30 million a year, $28 million? You know,
it's very similar
between 27 and a half and 30, right? He's going to be in that range.
Yeah.
Why would they give him that? They don't even have minutes for him.
Let's just say statistically, Cam Thomas was on an expiring contract last year with Jacques Vaughn and Kevin Ali. Let's just say that's how this past year went statistically the year before, but if he was on an expiring contract. That's the exact position that Kuminga's in, right? He's playing like a player that should be a full-time starter, if not a full-time rotational piece. He's playing like a player who has young and high upside, but he's not getting the necessary minutes and opportunities to develop his game to his fullest. It was very similar to what Cam Thomas was dealing with for 2 straight years under Jacques Vaughn and Kevin Ali, right? That's how I see the situation with Kuminga and Golden State. And I think because it's his restricted free agency year, that gives him the leverage to, work on the sign and trade himself with his agent and Golden State.
Yeah, I mean, if we had to put a book on it, you would make...
I would make Kuminga coming to Brooklyn and Nick Claxton being traded. Those are the 2 things that I guaranteed think happens this offseason.
God, if we can trade Nick... I have those 2 things happening for each other.
Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
I'm hoping there's a world where, I mean, that's the problem, though. The sign and trade, you're either looking at Nick Claxton or Cam Johnson, right? That kind of kills the value of what you're looking at. I personally would do Claxton just because I think you can get more value for Johnson, especially if you're looking at getting that top 3 pick.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a world where you can do that, where you sign and trade Claxton over there, and then see, but that's the thing, though. At that point, are you looking at drafting Maluak at 8? Because you got rid of Claxton, right? Does that put Maluak now as the primary target over Fears if he's still on the board? I think that's.
Look, I would not be mad if we took Maluak. I would take Fears but I don't think both are going to be available. I think one or the other is going to be available. Yeah,
that's the problem. If both are available and they take Maluak over Fears, I'd be extremely disappointed. Just because the boomer bust on both Ace and Maluak is extremely high, and if both of them are busts, that hurts. That hurts a fuck ton. I want a guy who I at least feel comfortable with as a solidified high caliber role player, if not potential star. Both of those guys could be very well injury-ridden end of careers within first 4 years, horrible busts, or they could both be superstar, all-star caliber players. So it's really a tough spot.
Let's close out the show on talking about fears, and then we'll be back Monday, and on Monday we'll break down we'll do this all over again, but assuming that we have Ace Bailey and the number 8 pick as well. So we're both gonna, just to confirm, we're both gonna move forward, assuming that we have Ace and fears.
Let's not say assume anymore, because that's the reverse jinx, right?
Yeah,
we're jinxing ourselves.
We're gonna
put out a
exercise
scenario
where in the exercise,
we're gonna work on problem solving based on an article that was reported by a reliable source. It has no chance of happening. It's not going to happen. We're not going to get him. Let's
certainly
just state
not.
It that way. No, right?
He's going to end up with the Knicks or the Celtics, almost certainly.
The Lakers will find a way to trade Austin Reeves and a 2031 first for, the number 3 pick. That's what's going to happen.
So they're going to trade 2031 first and Austin Reeves and get Joker. Next year, Joker's going to get the Denver's going to get number 2 in the draft. Denver's like, all right, we'll trade Joker, but we're getting Devanza. All right, let's go.
They'll trade Austin Reeves and the 2031 first to Nico Harrison and the Mavs for Cooper Flag. That's what will happen.
There you go. But we'll get
That's
next year, Dallas.
That's a realistic trade. Yeah. Yep. And then somehow, some way, with Luka, LeBron, and Cooper Flag, they'll figure out a way to be a play-in team. At 13th seed, they will get the number 1 pick and then draft Darren Peterson or Agent Advanced. That's how that'll work.
So Nate says he wants Maluak. So we're going to close out on this. Maluak versus Fears.
I'm a Fears guy, man.
I'm okay with either one. I would take Fears. You would not be okay with Maluak because of the if we're pairing him with Ace, right? If we're making the trade with Philly.
I think it's a great pairing. I think it's just very difficult to fully develop those two amongst one another, simply because they are such raw, high upside prospects. Like it's like a kid with an IEP, right? Like you need to give a teacher to him in a room with an additional teacher that helps him focus, right? That helps him separately. That's one-on-one with him. That's kind of how I see Ace Bailey and Maluak, right? They're both so young, so raw as prospects and have a lot of, tangibles that need to be worked on that could make it a bit difficult to fully develop one another amongst each other, right? So that's kind of where my concern is with it. Now, if Fears is gone at 8 and Maluak is there, no brainer, take him. I'm happy. I'm cool with it. But if Fears is on the board at 8 as well as Maluak and they pass on Fears after selecting Ace, then I'm extremely upset. That's when I get a bit annoyed because though Maluak may have a similar upside and ceiling to Fears, if not maybe slightly better, I want the more solidified pick at the position of need, right? You can go out and get a Naz Reid. You could go out and get a Miles Turner. You could go out and bring back Day'Ron Sharpe. You have center options, right? You don't really have a point guard option for the future, though. And I think that's where my big idea was if you miss out on the 2 wings of this draft class that I see as potential all-stars, that's when you pivot to point guard and center. And that's kind of what I've been on for the past 3 months, especially since figuring out what the lottery looks like, right? But now if you're telling me there's an opportunity to get one of those 2 wings, the next position of need for me with the highest upside is the point guard position. I think you could find a way to potentially trade up with the remainder of your picks that you have to try and go and grab a Thomas Sorber or a Danny Wolf or a Juan Berenger. Like, I'm not big on those last 2 names that I mentioned, but there's still center options in this draft that you can go out and get. Hell, even in the second round, if you want to get Sikorsky or that kid, Yannick Niedenhauser out of Sweden, who's
what about Hansen? What about the Chinese guy that people talking about? No good.
I can't do it. It's a great combine, but statistically, guys of his height, it doesn't really work out in the NBA. Like I'm not even that high on Sikorsky. They move well, but again, how many years of longevity, sustainability, development do they have in them where they could become full-time starters? Look at Zach Edey.
Well, they're second round picks. If you get a backup center in the second round,
it's not horrible. But for example, right? Look at Zach Edey, right? Leaf, who absolutely love doing pods with. He's so fun to debate because all he does is yell. It's great. Leaf was so certain that Zach Edey was going to be the best player in last year's draft class, that he wanted the Nets to get him. If they didn't, he was going to be upset, angry, sad, whatever. He sucks. He's mediocre.
Yeah, like that's the difference though. He doesn't suck. Like he's an NBA player. Like look,
no, I'm more so meaning for what Leafs standard of him was. The dude
yeah,
sucks, right?
right. Like
He's a
Mikal
mediocre
Bridges sucks. Like
basketball
Mikal Bridges doesn't really suck, but like what you were holding him to,
player.
he sucks. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's how I see it, right? These are mediocre bigs who are extremely tall, but very vulnerable to certain things on the court, whether that be being too slow to recover on a pick and roll, too slow and not good defensively on the perimeter. You know, they're not being able to put the ball on the floor, not being able to space the floor, not not being too slim potentially, like Yang and Zakarski are, to potentially body guys down low. You could be looking at another Taco Fall scenario. Like there, to me, there's not really a need for a guy like Yang and Zakarski. Zakarski's the one I'm more interested in because of his mobility at 7'3", 7'4". But also you have to remember who is drafting these players. Who is allergic to players over 7 feet tall? It's the same guy that's drafting for us this year.
That's why my starting lineup next year of Cam Thomas, Paul George, Ace Bailey,
he'd be
Jonathan
salivating.
Kuminga.
Yeah,
he loves that.
He'd be aggressively riled up, if you know what I mean. He would love that lineup. Everybody under 6'11", he would love it.
I guess Ace is my 4 in that scenario, and George is my 3, and Kuminga is my 2, and Cam's my 1. I guess.
I would think Thomas is the 1, George is the 2, Kuminga the 3. I would probably.
It doesn't really matter, right? Because they're all kind of interchangeable.
Yeah, I would probably say Ace at the 4, Sharp at the 5, Clowney on.
I'm starting Clowney.
Yeah, I would switch that to Sharp just for rebounding purposes.
Okay.
But, yeah. But outside of that, yeah, seems.
But then I have Clowney and Asa Noel off the bench, and they kind of fill the same space. So who do I go to? Like, who do I give those minutes to?
Sean Marks.
Is Asa Noel? He's a 4, right? He's just a small. He's
well, he's 6'11".
You can't play the 3.
I
can't play. But I'm saying I can't play Clowney and Newell together much, right?
Probably not. I mean, Clowney's more of the floor spacer than Newell is. Newell, if he can put on a little bit of size, could actually be a solid 5. And he's also in a bit of better shape than Clowney is coming out of college. So there's a chance, but is he available at 22? I don't know. I mean, with the package that you made with packaging up 26 and 27, I would have looked at Minnesota at 17. Because I think Minnesota, with potentially losing Naz Reid and their financial restrictions that they have with the second apron, they may want to draft 2 or 3 guys.
The reason why I did that,
27 and 31, that could be beneficial.
I was looking at a mock draft. I think it was ESPN that had Noel going 22 to Atlanta. So I said, you know what? I'm going in. I'm making that trade.
I was going to say, if you're packaging up 26 and 27, I would first call Minnesota. If they decline it, then I would look at Miami at 20. I think Miami at 20 makes a lot of sense because, again, they're a team that could use a couple more draft picks as well.
I wanted to end up with those 3 guys. I wanted.
I know you love Newell.
I wanted Newell. I wanted Ace, and I wanted Yeager. And I figured out a way where I thought, according to those mock drafts I looked at, I could get all 3 of them. I know Newell falling to 22, but someone falls every year. But yeah, maybe.
Let me also propose this, right? If you get Ace and Fears and Maluak are on the board and you go Maluak, the only way I'd be happy with it is if you go all in to try and trade up for Igor Demin at 15 or 16. That's where that gets interesting, right? Because you would then have a 6'9" point guard, a 6'9" forward, and a 7'2" center. That is like Sean Marks got fired, and we actually have a real GM who knows how to prioritize versatility, height, and rebuilding. Like that's what that would mean. Like Sean Marks may have a clone who's not actually Sean Marks at that point. But I mean, if you bring in 3 guys who are 6'8" and a half, 6'9" and up, that's huge for versatility.
Well, Nate asked a wonderful question.
Let's hear it.
Wait, how are you guys getting Ace Bailey in the equation? Well,
somebody joined
the top of the show. Yeah, someone came in late.
Come on,
Nate,
man. What are you doing?
I mean, you want to?
Yeah, I'll break it down. So there was a rumor, not even a rumor, an article that was reported, verified, of course, by The Athletic, stating that the 76ers are open to potentially trading the 3rd overall pick, that there's something that they're going to look into for the next couple of weeks. The Nets were a team that was mentioned. The exact mention of it was, and I'm going to pull it up right now, because it had Brooklyn not trading its 8th overall pick to move up to 3. I don't think this specific scenario is realistic, which is why I countered it. But what the article said was, would Brooklyn look at a deal in the ballpark of Cam Johnson, the 19th overall pick, and the 27th overall pick for Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, and the number 3 pick? I don't think that's realistic. I think you have to add on future draft capital, which is why I made a deal. Again, it's Kelly Oubre, Andre Drummond, and the 3rd overall pick to Brooklyn. It's Cam Johnson, 19, 27. The 2027 76ers protected pick back to Philly. And then for this scenario, I did a top 8 protected Knicks pick in 2029 to Philly. So roughly 4 first-round picks and Cam Johnson for the number 3 pick while keeping number 8 and while also keeping your 2026 first-round pick. That to me is a slam dunk. There's nothing that can beat that. And if there is a realistic scenario where you can get both, you're now looking at starting your rebuild with Cam Thomas, Ace Bailey, and one of either Jeremiah Fears or Kaman Maluak. And that's not to mention the opportunities of potentially bringing in Jonathan Kuminga. That's really good to start a rebuild with the amount of picks that you would still have left over and the financial freedoms that you'll have moving forward as well.
At that point, I'm just like, and I love Cam Thomas. I have a Cam Thomas jersey, but I understand what Cam Thomas is. I get what he is.
Cam Thomas.
I'm gonna put Kuminga at my 2, and I'm trading Cam Thomas for what I can get for him.
I've been saying maybe I play him
to start the season, try to build his stats, and then trade him. Yeah. But he's gone.
I've been saying this for a while. Cam Thomas is D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell in 2018 was like this bright and shining, potential all-star. He had made an all-star game in Brooklyn. But what happened? When it came time, he was traded because he was the first expendable piece with value. That's Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas is young with star potential, at least as a star scorer. He's the first one to go. And he's going to be on a very team-friendly contract heading into next season. Teams are going to value that, and teams are going to want that immediately in the package. Look at Milwaukee. Earlier in the season, it was rumored that the Bucks were looking at Cam Thomas and Dorian Finney-Smith. That was a clear indication for all Nets fans. It was either give us Dorian Finney-Smith so we can help Giannis this year, or let's work on Cam Thomas in the near future so this way you guys can get Giannis. Cam Thomas in any trade is going to net you a star because he is the most valuable piece on the Nets in terms of youth and upside.
That's what I'm saying. So if I can have this, if I can have at the point Fears, 19 years old, 23-year-old Kuminga at the 2, and 18-year-old Bailey at the 3. That's
and 23-year-old Cam Thomas for 1 year. Yeah.
Trade Cam Thomas, get me big bodies.
Right? I would keep that roster as is for a year. I would let Thomas play 1 full year because you also have to remember he was hurt for 3/4 of the season this year. His value's kind of dipped. If he can stay healthy next year alongside 3 very young, high upside players as well, and still putting up similar numbers where he's putting up that 23 to 25 a game, maybe the efficiencies go up, maybe the playmaking goes up, then you're talking about really high value on a really good contract in a year where, okay, maybe, one of Fears or Ace developed really well. They're already looking like a full-time starter, potential star in the making within the next 2 years. Let's go for our superstar, right? That's when you start to question guys like Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards. Like there's certain guys that you could make questions for in the near future that could be available. Do we really see Anthony Edwards staying the rest of his career in Minnesota? Probably not. Devin Booker, probably on his way out if they can't retool that roster for him within the next year and a half. So there's guys available at the shooting guard position that could be available. It just depends on when the time's right to trade Cam Thomas. But if you can lock him in on a 3-year deal for $23 million a year, dude, that gives you that gives you all the time in the world to keep him. You could keep him until he's an expiring contract. You can keep him for 2 more years and rebuild through the draft for 1 more year and build out the rest of the roster the following offseason. And by 2027, 2028, you can move Thomas in a package with the leftover picks that you have and some salary fillers plus young assets for a superstar. Like that works.
I don't hate the Knicks. I hate the fan base.
Everybody hates everybody's fan base. Everybody hates everybody's fan base. To Knicks fans, we're the most annoying people in the world because we're the little brother that came in trying to act like we run shit. Like that's every fan base can say the same exact thing, and that's why I compared it. It's like Bloods versus Crips with Nets and Knicks fans. Both of them are meaningless. Both of them do nothing, but they pretend to hate each other. It's weird. It does nothing for you. Just give it up. Who cares what a Knicks fan says? They haven't won a championship in the same amount of time frame than us. That we've been to a finals earlier in more recent years than they have. It doesn't matter. We statistically, until a year and a half ago, had a better record since moving to New York than the Knicks did. Who cares? There's no debate.
Celtics go into rebuild with Tatum. It's going to be interesting to see what Celtics do next year. How much would you give up for Pritchard? I mean, I don't have anything to get. You want me to start trading picks for Pritchard? I don't know. Like, I don't.
That's not happening.
Pritchard's the best player on my team, right? If the Nets got Pritchard, he's the best player on the team, right?
Look at it this way: Pritchard is the Drew Holiday replacement. You're looking now at the Kristaps Porzingis replacement, which, by the way, is it not weird that this dude is dealing with a mystery illness that is defeating his breathing and his stuff?
Oh, Porzingis, it's not mystery. He's got the AIDS.
That's what I'm saying.
He's got the AIDS.
How hard is that to see? How hard is that to see? I didn't want to get the defamation of character charges on me, but damn, dude, that looks exactly like the HIV. Like, he's got something going on. There's no way that he does not have some form of STD.
He's got the AIDS. He was in Latvia, whatever. Did he
blood brother it up with Magic Johnson?
Homies, like, yeah.
Did he blood brother it up with Magic Johnson? I'm confused. What did he do? Was he getting busy in Slovenia? I don't get it. But yeah, no, I think that's what it is. But realistically, though, Pritchard is a guy that they have on a multi-year contract along with Derek White. Their guards are set, right? Now the question is, do you want to move on from Jaylen Brown or Porzingis to free up that cap space, right? Because Drew Holiday's gone. Everybody knows that. Now it comes down to Porzingis.
I said yesterday on BK show that Porzingis clearly has the AIDS. Mm-hmm. And they're like, why would you say that? I was like, because he clearly has AIDS. That's why I would say that. Yeah.
Somebody's got to say it, right? Dude, it's so funny. I saw a Twitter thing, and it was this guy who posted a screenshot of like an injury update to Porzingis, right? You know how they show it on the bottom of the screen during the games? And it was a Missoula quote that said, I had to pull him out because he can't breathe. And somebody tweeted, he goes, because he tweeted it a while back, and he was like, he has AIDS. And then he tweeted it again after that little comment came up on the bottom of the screen. He's like, no, literally, this is AIDS. Like, dude, this guy has been on it for like a month straight. I feel horrible if he does, but at the same time, can you really feel horrible for somebody for banging some grossness? That's on you, dude.
He's banging the homies in Latvia or something, you know. He's rolling a little too close to the homies. I'm not like it's funny, but it's not like
it's hilarious, but it's also horrible. Like,
if I was his doctor, the first thing I would do is say, "Hey, take an AIDS test." That would be the first thing I would do.
Right? How hard is this? Why has it been a month and a half? Like, give him some help. Do something, dude. It's like the SpongeBob meme where it's like him holding the book and his eyes are going two separate directions. It's like, that's fucking hilarious and that's fucking awful. That's what this is. It's hilarious and it's awful, but it's really bad. So hopefully he actually doesn't have it, and hopefully we look stupid as shit for saying it. But
he's got some message. If he doesn't have AIDS, he was kissing the strippers or something.
He's got something.
He's got something, man.
He's got to have something growing down there, because that is not working for him. I mean, he looks dead, literally. Like, he looks horrible in terms of his play and his look. Like, he does not look healthy at all. I don't know why they're playing. He should be home. Like, go get a test. They make them.
He's still 7'3" or whatever the hell he is, and he can, he still affects shots and stuff.
He can't. He can't even get down the floor. He looks horrible. His perimeter defense has looked horrible. His perimeter shooting has looked horrible. He's getting bodied down low. I mean, I watched him try to block Jalen Brunson, and he couldn't even get off his feet. Like, on a layup. A 6'2" guard was able to power through a 7'2", 7'3" big man with no problem. Like, no worry in the world. Not one. He's got something going on. But to go back to our little debate, Fears Maluak, I'm all Fears. If the two of them are on the board at the same time, I'm going Fears to pair with Ace.
I am too. But if they took Maluak, I wouldn't be pissed about it. I would understand why the upside, but I agree. People with Fears, because he's not that short. He's like 6'4". Like,
he's 6'4". He's Russell Westbrook size. Like, that's not.
Yeah, short. People keep making it sound like he's like 6'1". He's not 6'4". He is frail though. He is like 180 pounds.
Lou's last comment. What's it called? Yeah, I mean, the only way that I'm okay with Maluak, like I said, is if you can trade up for Igor, or if you can find a way to get Ben Sarath. I think those are the two guards I'd be okay with if you are able to get Maluak and Ace. That I'm cool with.
Yeah, no, we all agree. I think Fears, if Fears could develop And look, he's 18, 19 years old. A lot of 18-year-old, 19-year-olds are not consistent shooters. If he can become a consistent shooter, he can already get hot. He can get hot. If he can become a consistent shooter, he's a major problem at the next level. A major problem. Because to me, he's already a pass-first point guard who can score 20 at will.
Yeah.
If he could ever become a consistent three-point shooter, now he becomes real dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like his 3-point shooting was inconsistent. He still shot it over 35% while at Duke, I believe. You know, yeah, he just did moving shots and stationary shots at the combine, and he shot 12 of 25 on each. That's 48%. Like, he's solid. Now, of course, when you're wide open with no defender on you, those percentages probably drop about 10%.
Yeah.
But again, for a big man to shoot 38% from the three, 36.5% from three is league average. To be able to shoot 36 to 38% as a big man, that's well over league average for a center. So there's definitely some upside with him. And like I've been saying, I see Mark Williams, but with a 3. And he's not like frail either. He looks skinny, but he's like 250, 260 pounds at 7'2". He's not tiny. He's got some weight to him. And if he can build on the muscle mass on the upper body, at least, then I think that's something that could be definitely, it could be very scary for sure. There's definitely a potential with him.
All right. I need to wrap this up. We'll be back Monday, and we'll reconstruct the. We're doing an exercise where we have Ace Bailey and the number 8 pick. So
we're doing a hypothetical that has absolutely no possibility of happening.
It's just, it's an exercise.
Fingers crossed. But yeah, appreciate you guys for joining. I'm not taking you know how it works. I'm not taking away from Texas to the world. Go for it, man.
All right. It's May 16th, 2025, from Texas to the world. Thank y'all, and God bless.
Later.